So, Geometry Dash has been out for 3.5 months now, and it's pretty safe to say that this update revolutionized the game. I mean, just look at this. However, with all its new features, every good side has a bad side. Obviously, I'm talking about the Lobotomy meme that's ever had the pleasure of being spread around in the recent tab. But it made me think, how did this even start? How did this random face that's been in the game for over 10 years get tied to this random sound effect? Was this seemingly innocent green face hiding its true form for all these years, just for this very moment? Or is there a deeper story going on here? Probably not, but I made this video anyway. Join me as we go through the history of Geometry Dash Lobotomy. So first off, what is lobotomy? Why are you asking me that? I have no idea. The word lobotomy refers to several brain surgeries that break connections between the frontal lobe and different parts of the brain. The frontal lobe is involved in many brain processes, including language, voluntary motion, that kind of thing. Lobotomies became popular in the 1930s as a treatment for certain mental health conditions such as depression, at a time when there were no drug therapies for mental health disorders and psychotherapy was still in its early stages. However, lobotomies are dangerous, carrying several serious risks like seizures. Lobotomies are rare today, however, they're still legal in some places. The main use of the lobotomy was to treat mental health conditions or reduce their symptoms. Often, the procedure made people quiet and docile, which they interpreted as a sign of success. Keep in mind this was done a century ago, so what doctors consider a mental health disorder has changed, as well as prejudice and bias playing a role. In addition to people who meet current definitions for mental illness, practitioners also perform lobotomies on people with intellectual disabilities, gay, and who are in prison for crimes, which some blame on criminal insanity. Also, most lobotomized people were women, despite the fact that the hospital had more men as patients. Often, the reason doctors gave for this was that they needed to maintain order in the hospital. Other reasons included a lack of interest in childcare and strange behavior. Also, by the way, the site that I'm reading this from updated on the 22nd of December 2023. I wonder if they knew. Fast forward about 50 years, Robert Nicholas Christian Tapala, or Rob Top, was born in Sweden. His first game was called Bounce Ball Thingy in 2010, and it was supposed to be a side game project. It looked a little like this. You control a white ball that can jump really high, and the goal is to get to a house way up in the sky by dodging obstacles. Yeah, not the most impressive thing in the world, but keep in mind this was just his first game. The next game he made was Boomlink in 2012, probably the most popular Rob Top game that isn't Geometry Dash to this day. Mainly because if I had to guess, it's the one where Rob Top ripped the most stuff from to put into Geometry Dash. This was around the time Rob Top got into the puzzle game genre, but the concept of Boomlink was very simple. Make the colored blocks line up to pop them, similar to Candy Crush. Of course, it gets way more complicated after that, though. This is the first time that Rob Top is trying to understand difficulty curves and how to make a game that gets progressively more complicated over time. And this game was also Rob Top's big step into making actually decent graphics. Then he decided to make Memory Mastermind. There really isn't much to say about Memory Mastermind. Then he created
Geometry Dash.
Pulled many of his ideas from other games he liked, such as the Mario franchise, and of course the Impossible Game. I'm pretty sure I don't need to explain what Geometry Dash is by now if you're watching this video, so I'll give my effortless and funny explanation. Cube. Cube move forever. Cube jump. Cube turn into ship. Ship fly. Win. However, this game wasn't really that popular at first because RobTop had no real way of advertising his games without blowing up his school budget. So things weren't looking very successful for Geometry Dash. That's mainly why updates 1.1 through 1.7 were so mediocre, with only a few minor changes to the actual game.
Okay, everyone listen up. Geometry Dash is now at an all-time low in popularity. This isn't good for us faces. You know what happens when no one plays the game, don't you all?
No! Don't want to go back to the darkness!
Exactly insane, so does anyone have ideas on how to prevent that?
Well, that's a hard question to answer, Demon. What we usually do is keep the game fresh by adding new features to use. But obviously this isn't a permanent solution, so we have to try something different.
What is there different to try? We're already giving these people level editor community icons for days, and what more could they want?
Now everyone, maybe try to calm down. I know that this situation is bad, but I'm sure that whatever our god RobTop has in mind will help our situation.
Oh no! RobTop's lifeless for dead and you know it!
I have an idea, but I don't think they'll like it. Would you say,
If it's our only option, then go for it.
and, yeah. Right, you can't talk. Well, there's nothing.
After almost a year, Geometry Dash suddenly skyrocketed into popularity out of nowhere. It was Geometry Dash miracle. Almost too good to be true. What happened to make the game so suddenly popular out of nowhere is something no one can really say for sure. Nevertheless, it was around this time that RobTop decided to put all of his focus into Geometry Dash and create more quality updates for everyone to enjoy. And so it began. Fast forward a few updates, since RobTop is trying to keep the community intact with better and bigger updates, he ran into this problem of making updates too big and too time-consuming to complete, otherwise known as feature creep. And boy oh boy was it a problem for Update 2.2. At first, Update 2.2 was only supposed to have some funny stuff like the random trigger and camera controls and going backwards and particles and swing mode. But then suddenly that didn't feel like enough for some reason. So RobTop decided to make a whole new mode for Geometry Dash, Versus. Basically, what Versus mode is a mode where you race against others to beat your level. But this was taking too long to develop, and RobTop was getting quite tired of just working on Versus. So he decided to work on another new mode for Geometry Dash, Platformer mode. However, guess what? Platformer mode was taking too long to develop, and RobTop was getting tired of working on the same old thing again. So he decided to work on more things. Another thing that's funny to mention is that while waiting, RobTop showed us what he thought the recent tab would be like once 2.2 dropped. Yeah, he was way off the mark. On December 19th of 2023, RobTop finally updated Geometry Dash to Update 2.2. And everyone loved it. Everyone's playing the new Dash level and also having fun in the tower. Versus mode has sadly been delayed into 2.21, but that's okay because we have all of these new features to use to make amazing new levels. Hey, speaking of, what are people making so far? Seemed as if those past events really added up to make the recent tab a total mess. Just for the meme, several creators have given this normal face the power of meme chaos. Geometry-Lobotomy. But hold on, don't click off the video yet, we still have more stuff to come. So anyway, people are getting a good laugh out of this weird new trend going on in the recent tab. However, very soon, that laughter will all stop. A divine being, a deity's in the dance of chaos. Find your path. Onwards, upwards, they entwine. Ascend the heavens. Destiny defined. About 3 months ago, TheMilkCat decided to give this already cursed icon Power of the Gods. And since it got rated because it was so cool, it's basically canon GD. Keep in mind, however, that this doesn't mean that normal face is unstoppable. I mean, come on. You can beat this guy easily. So, he obviously isn't a true god. More like a semi-god. Demigod. Also, using this godlike form drains energy severely quickly. So, normal face can't just use this form whenever he wants. But it does mean that the things he can do have been increased severely. But now what? When the things you can do are seemingly never-ending, you start running out of ideas for what to do. Because you can basically do anything with the snap of your fingers. However, soon enough, there would be something to do of. This time it would be difficult for even a god to do. Since the meme was getting so popular, RobTop, being a person of memes himself, decided to add more fire in the whole sound effects. One in particular, however, changed Lobotomy forever. As you could probably guess, this was supposed to be a complete opposite of fire in the hole, and it only existed for more funny. However, what happened next was not how RobTop planned. The water on the hill sound effect got tied to the easy face, so normal face viewed him as his replacement, and he decided that the only way to settle this is to defeat one of his own kind. And so the battle of memes started. There was just one problem. Easy face was a pacifist, meaning that he refused to fight back. Which is a problem because that means Easy Face couldn't fight against Normal Face's attacks. However, there is a sliver of hope for Easy Face, because the difficulty faces are meant to be durable, so that they wouldn't just disappear off the face of the game forever. Which makes sense because it would be a big problem if suddenly the easiest levels on the servers were just deleted, because the symbol for them was deleted. So on one side of this predicament, it was a battle that Easy Face couldn't possibly win unless Normal Face gives up. But on the other hand, Easy Face is very durable, so Normal Face would have a hard time trying to defeat him. However, days passed and Normal Face still wouldn't give up. It was clear that by this point Easy Face would need help. Luckily, that's exactly what he would be getting.
Rock on the ground.
This sound effect was tied to the harder face, who, unlike Easy Face, wasn't a pacifist, meaning that harder face could fight back against Normal Face's attacks. However, there is still another problem. Remember how Normal Face was given almost godlike powers in a level that became canon because it got rated? Yeah, that hasn't happened to the others yet. So, harder face isn't as strong as Normal Face, but at least the opposing side can fight back. Somewhat. And yes, I said opposing side because now Normal Face is after both Easy Face and Harder Face, so it makes sense for both Easy Face and Harder Face to be on the same side. And then, that's it. We've caught up to the present day. Yeah, we're still going through the Lobotomy war, and No new sound effects have been added to link difficulty phases too. But why? So, what happened? Well, the thing that made this meme funny was that it was crazy and unexpected, and it was intentionally bad. Not to say that that was always the case, however, they always had a style and charm like no other thing on the servers. But then, after a while, that charm was lost. Lobotomy levels lost their point. But how? Well, lobotomy levels became a sort of stereotype. The stuff that's in most lobotomy levels now is stuff people would expect from a lobotomy level. People have just linked bad camera controls and difficulty face spam and song and sound effects trigger spam to be in lobotomy levels. It really is the worst when something that's supposed to be unexpected is just expected. And that's not how new creators start on 2.2 now. People are going to think that lobotomy levels are so cool when they create them, and at least these new levels still have that charm. This meme used to be funny and weird, and that's why it was good. Now, it's just an afterthought. Can't believe I'm saying this in front of a public audience, but I miss this. And just writing this script makes me think of how much of it is missing. I mean, we don't even have a proper conclusion to this story. We had to cut it short because everything else cut it short. Is this truly the end? Are we leaving off on a never-ending paddle that we just decided to not end? You know what? I kinda want this story to end. Even if it's a bad story, I still think it should end. It might have a bad beginning, but who knows? Maybe it'll have a good ending. To the 5 people watching this video, thank you for sticking with me for this long. Secondly, make this story have an ending. It doesn't have to be good, but just make it end. I want this video to have a proper conclusion, believe it or not, and I really think that this could be a lot more than just a funny meme for YouTube clickbait. Go out there and dare to do what several others couldn't bother to do. Let's finish this story and make this history complete. Well, that's about it for this video for now. Maybe next year I'll have more to cover, but one can only hope. Oh yeah, and also another thing to mention. Yeah, pretty much all of the history stuff was just made up. I mean, come on. You really think the stuff has a history? However, this doesn't mean that everything in here was made up. Most of the stuff early on in the video is all totally real. It was mainly the stuff related to the lobotomy war that was all made up. Big shout out to the Fire in the Hole Friday Night Spunkin' mod by Golden Crafter for being a major inspiration for this video. Pretty sure I used their instrumentals as background music too. In all seriousness, I enjoyed almost every single part of making this video, and I appreciate the 5 people who watched this video all the way to the end. It really means a lot to me that people actually listen to my rambling of a stupid meme. Okay, bye.